Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the simple and AI-powered rewards and recognition platform for employee engagement.
Hi everyone, I'm Sushmita, your host for the show, welcoming you back to a brand new episode. Because there is a certain level of unclarity and doubt about what internal employer branding is and how it promotes employee engagement, we thought it is the right moment to go back to the roots of employer branding. So, this episode of the Vantage HR Influencers podcast is dedicated to the HR directors and HR managers who wish to understand the relevance of employer branding and is likely to explain to us why it makes sense to own a great internal employer branding strategy. For the same, please help me to welcome Kankana Barua, the CHRO at Healthium Medtech. Hi Kankana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sushmita.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And we'd like to know a bit about you and what keeps you motivated these days.
So as the name says, I'm Kankana Barua. I come from Assam, and that's why I was very, very excited to be talking to a person again from Assam, and most importantly,
same here.
Vantage, I just looked back and I saw that your co-founder and CTO, he too is an Assamese based out of Guwahati.
Right.
So my roots are very strong, and I'm from Assam, born and brought up there. And intent is to go back after all my hanging my active corporate life back to Assam. And indeed feels very nice that, this concept that you all have brought in has a tag of Assam Guwahati. It only goes to signify that Assam is definitely speeding up and gearing up to the rest of the states in the country.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm very proud about it.
Yeah.
So briefly, I'm an Assamese. I'm by qualification a company secretary and a law graduate. However, chose to be an HR professional, and therefore for the last 25 years, I have been the HR heads of various companies, starting from Jubilant, then I joined as the Chief People Officer for Tally, and then finally I joined Healthium group of companies as the group CHRO, primarily because of the fact that the vision of this company is something very close to my heart. It is about giving precision and precise medical devices reaching out to patients globally. This vision actually kind of motivated me to join a company back to a manufacturing setup and, a complete package of opportunity for a CHRO. So that's where I am. It's 3 years now. Wonderful journey. That's briefly about my professional career. Personally, I'm married with 2 kids. Son is pursuing his profession out of the country. Daughter is a medical student. Husband works for a company called Concentrix. And that's what about me, briefly.
Yeah, so Kankana, also during the COVID era, when it was in a peak, you were with Healthium Medtech, right?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. So please tell us more about Healthium Medtech and how you have been, constantly improving hospital experiences with world-class products.
So to start with, 2020 in March was kind of a period where the whole world saw a drastic change.
Yeah.
What actually motivated us is, and I really feel very proud when I look back, the way we have come ahead as a company is being in a medical device. We were considered to be an essential commodity because we provide, support to hospitals for any kind of surgery, be it your gloves, be it your sutures, your needles, because fact remains when we are born as human beings, we do fall sick, and a hospital is somewhere where we need to go to rectify or provide or, take care of ourselves when we cannot take care of ourselves at home. So COVID actually has been a big, challenge for us at that point of time, not knowing what is going to happen. And after the first lockdown of 14 days, we have to ensure that we come back to our workplaces. when the whole world was literally shut, we actually started working soon after the first lockdown. That's just about 2 weeks.
Right.
And it was a mammoth task for each one of us to get our people, lead from the front, ensure that we produce and manufacture what is required from a hospital perspective, and basically help people to combat the fear of the unknown, which we all had. But I think we turned out to be having brave COVID warriors, I must say, while they were not at the hospitals. But the fact that they used to come to work every day, from the worker up until the CEO, only signifies the kind of dedication or the ecosystem or the value system and the vision that we have in the company, which drove all of us to steer through this unknown situation that we were in. And most importantly, the fear of life. But I think we did exceptional help as a leadership, as a company. Cannot thank enough for each and every person who has worked with Healthium as a group and their families for supporting us.
Yeah, so honestly, Kankana, without you guys, without organizations like Healthium Medtech, this whole struggle with COVID would have been really difficult. And thanks and salute to all you people, actually.
Yes, thank you very much. While we did nothing, but this thank definitely goes to each and every person who has been associated with us, be it a contractual worker or our permanent workers, up until our guys in manufacturing, and also the sales guys. A big salute to all the sales guys who actually reached out. We were the first one to reach out to the hospital, without the fear of life.
Very true.
They all went ahead and went to the hospitals and do whatever that is required to be done. So indeed, we definitely have done our bit to the country and to the world at large.
Okay, so moving towards the topic today, Kankana. Most managers from the healthcare sector would say that enhancing patient engagement is their top priority, but they forget about employee engagement, which is, linked to different factors like employee satisfaction, turnover, and absenteeism. And these are equally important in the medical sector, just as in any other profession. So during this COVID-19 pandemic, what employee engagement challenges did you face, or that you are still facing as a CHRO at Healthium Medtech?
So I will answer this question in two parts. The challenges that are associated with the manufacturing setup, where people actually come to the plants and work, is slightly different from the challenges that you have in the corporate office and the sales force. Now, let me first address the manufacturing. The challenges that we had during the COVID times, where people actually had to come to the plant, starting from the plant head to the manufacturing supervisors to the workers, was the fear of the unknown and getting them motivated to come to work every day. The challenges were multifold, and the only thing which we kept telling them that, remember that we are trying to save patients. Remember, we are also COVID warriors. You don't have to be a doctor or a nurse or a hospital staff to be a COVID warrior. But I think what we did, and this particular concept of contributing as a COVID warrior and, engaging people, engaging their families to support, has been the biggest challenge. And this employer branding, internal branding for us, the vision statement particularly, and the connect to the vision statement, how we effectively are contributing to the welfare of the patients across the globe, kept motivating people, and that was the sole thing which we kept harping and engaging people, constant touch, motivation, connect with each and every individual, creating a hospital COVID task force. I think one of the biggest thing which we did as it's not from a perspective of employer branding. Employer branding is done with an outcome to chase, where you get your employees engaged. And more than anything else, not as a matter of branding or whatever fancy words you use, from a pure humanitarian standpoint, I think the emotional quotient of everyone at that point of time was very high. We had something called COVID Task Force. Now, what essentially it meant is we had a team of doctors along with a team of HRs and all the leaders, where we used to come back and discuss what are the things that we need to do to ensure the safety being number one. At the same time, ensure that people are not, not skeptical and worried about what would be the implication should something happen, and therefore the comfort in the form of providing term insurance, enhanced medical insurance, medical support, hospital support. But what unique thing which we did is this COVID task force, which comprised of many doctors, actually became the counselors as doctors and also mentally to all our employees, and not just restricted to the employees. We were open not to their families also, but even friends, connects. Like I had many friends whom I got connected to them to understand what they are supposed to do, when is the time they should go to the hospital or seek attention, because all this concept of an oximeter, your saturation, these are new concepts, right? And coming from a doctor, coming from a team of doctors, probably one was, I won't say a masterstroke, but probably one of the best things that we could do as an LDM. And this really, really helped people to get confidence, get support, comfort. Comfort was the most important thing at that point of time. So leaving aside everything, I think the emotional quotient that we could create to their employees and their extended families is what made us victorious. Secondly, when I come to the sales force are the guys, we were the first one who had to actually go to hospitals.
Right.
And these hospitals were all COVID wards. And I can actually imagine how these people went to actually take care of the request from the doctors, provide the supplies that they require, and keep visiting every day, and then coming back home and being with their families, to the extent that what they were expected to do once they reach home is something which the leadership team, particularly the sales leadership team, reached out to each and every person, that once you come home, what are the things, basic things of having a bath, getting your clothes washed, double masking, the constant reinforcement on a daily basis to everyone in the sales fraternity who was moving across the whole country to all the hospitals, including our fellow workers in UK, is something which were some of the challenges, but we managed it very well. It was not an easy task because everything was unknown. The fact that, there was curfew. So today, if I want to go to office, I need a card. I need an emergency pass. How to get that emergency pass? Who are the authorities from the government that we need to connect with so that we have, yes. Then comes your social distancing. I think it's been fantastic when I look back. And as you were asking this question, all those memories are flashing back.
Very true. Even I can, feel it. I can realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like going to the police station, ensuring that we get buses to get people from their houses, the buses being sanitized in the morning, in the evening. Oh my God, so many things that were done. And it really feels good that we have come so far. And by the grace of the Almighty, world is slowly turning into normal.
Right.
So that's wonderful. And then, of course, the next challenge came is to convince people to take vaccines, because not all people were ready to take vaccines. But at the same time, we wanted to encourage people to take vaccines and how to encourage them. It's not about giving, in many companies I heard here where they say that, if you complete your vaccination, you get some X points, this point, some recognition. But our kind of people was very different. What we did was basically counseling people, their families, their villages, where we have our plans, that how it's going to protect not just them, but their families, their friends, their relatives, and the society at large. That was also another very important initiative, which we had done very, very seriously. and with a lot of collective efforts.
Right. Brilliant. Kankana, so all these efforts, as you have mentioned, that it all comes with the fear of life for yourself and for your family members. So that's where you deserve a lot of applause.
Yeah, and here I have to say that people in the corporate office, we, including me, while we were that way quite, one part of it was protected that we work from home. This corporate office is such that you can work from home.
Right.
But we always have this guilt and the fact that we are working from home and the rest of the people are going to work. So as much as possible, our COVID task force, the doctors, and at the same time, we also have to identify some of the risk factors. I cannot risk my CEO or the CFO to go to work because ultimately they have to run the company too. So we ensure that they work from home, but at the same time, we ensure that the COVID tasks, the doctors, they made sure that they visited every plant, spoke to all the people, and that's something we can't take away the brevity that was shown, or the bravery that was shown by the people of our organization.
Right. And also, Kankana, now although the COVID graph is not going up, do you see any new employer branding trends for the year 2022 while dealing with, unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, now the challenges, as you have seen and aware of the 2021 being the year of what they call it as great resignations, right?
Yeah.
So, the kind of resignations that, that happened in the last year also took the companies unaware of how to handle the situation. Because today, whatever you do, some of the critical things which most the youngsters, particularly the Gen Z, that are looking, and I'm speaking not from a Healthium perspective, but I'm speaking as an HR leader, which I will partly look into in your IT sector, IT, non-IT, manufacturing, everywhere.
Right.
So wherever we have the Gen Z, I think one of the challenges would have been that, people are no longer willing to come back to work, and they only choose companies who are willing to give you that flexibility. So I think there is a huge change in the culture that the company has to adapt to ensure that you retain the best talent. The culture of flexibility, that's become, which flexibility again brings and boils down to the culture of trust. The culture of trust has to be immensely high, and expecting that people will be present in office and not giving them the flexibility to work from home is a big change which leaders have to embrace and accept and move forward in the coming year. Very difficult to understand what would be some of the challenges that we would have at this point of time, but for the 2022, the whole year. But definitely basis on the great resignation, one of the things which has come up is, flexibility. That's something, flexibility to operate becomes extremely important. And in this flexibility, the challenge that comes to the company is, how do we keep the people connected? How do we keep the people motivated? And at the same time, help us in bringing into the world innovative products, which will help patients to have a better quality of life. Now, this again, from a perspective of Healthium, but at the same time, I think this is a big challenge which all HR fraternity, the entire HR fraternity, plus the leadership of the companies are going to change. But in spite of that, some of the things which I feel would be the trends for this coming year is to keep enhance the experience of people. Now, whether people are working remote or they're working from office, it's very important to change the experience of people. Focus more on, the EQ and the SQ, which is your emotional quotient and social quotient of the employees, and at the same time enhance what they call it these days as adversity quotient. and enhance the adversity quotient of employees. When you take up initiatives take initiatives around these various quotients, particularly adversity and your emotional quotients, it's a human tendency to get connected with the company. And I think that's one trend which we all have to focus a lot, the emotional connect, giving in flexibility, giving them the comfort, giving them a good experience, ensuring that we bring in the concept of, working very hard towards diversity and inclusion. Now, when I say diversity and inclusion, it does not mean only gender diversity or, getting people who are specially able, but it also means there is a huge crunch of talent now. The reason being, and why I'm saying, and to connect the dots, the focus on talent acquisition or the focus on recruitment has to have a paradigm shift. We can no longer think of, putting in when you're looking for someone, you put in something that age less than 40 years. He or she be from these premier institutes. I mean, I cringe when I see these kind of requirements coming in our own CHRO fraternities. I mean, why? When a person is capable of delivering, a person is in his good mind and senses, why should age become a bar? Why should your premium institute, a premium institute definitely comes with premium, really helps when you're taking them at the initial period of their career. But once you have the experience, once you are master in a particular technology or you have that desired level of experience, why should we even make this distinction of, I personally, this is my opinion, I would never like to put in a person with a job description when I'm looking for someone with say 10, 12 years of experience and preferred candidates from IIT or top premium institutions somehow. If we are talking about diversity and inclusion, let's start here. It's not just about gender. It's not just about specially able. It's not about people coming from military background, but also let's also think about being inclusive in people coming from different age bracket, coming from different level of experience. Why is that?
And different backgrounds.
Yeah. And I think that is what going to make a big change. And that's a trend which I foresee in the coming few months, because particularly IT companies, are challenged with the kind of opportunities and at the time of losing the good talent. So there has to be these kind of initiatives taken by company, which actually becomes a branding internally for the rest of the people or the rest of the employees to understand that the company has come out of its traditional approach of taking care of employees. We are far ahead. We are much ahead. I think that's an experience we need to bring. And this is one definitely a trend I see, in 2022, which I have also seen many companies, by the way, doing it. And focus is going to be employee retention goes without saying, but focus on recruitment, focus on talent acquisition is going to be one of the major focus area for all the CHROs across the world. That's what I feel.
Yes. Thank you, Kankana, for all that you shared today. And is there something that you want to mention at the end of this podcast?
The pandemic is not over. It's still there, and we still don't know what turn it may take in the next 6 months or 7 months. But staying positive that, slowly the impact of the virus or with multiple level of mutation, the strength of the virus will only weaken up. But at the same time, we still don't know what's ahead in us from a pandemic perspective. This only makes us to believe that be prepared of the unforeseen. At this point of time, we definitely need to bring in a culture of trust, create a culture of trust, create a culture of flexibility, and see how we can bring in innovation through our digital connects, virtual connects, and wherever possible, presence too, because no technology can take away the impact that is created by personal connects. But at the same time, we have to work around that, enhance the experience, enhance the human values, because over and above all your values in the company comes your human moral values, which actually gets integrated to your company values. And therefore, we have to be very mindful of the fact that we create value system in the company where every prospective employee or the employee in the organization can connect their personal value system with the company's value system. This integration becomes extremely important, and this is what probably would be the mantra for all of us to be successful ahead of the coming months, years, until the pandemic ends.
Indeed. Well, that is a perfect way to end this conversation, Kankana. I really enjoyed speaking with you. So would you like to share how our listeners can reach out to you? They might want to follow you on social media and find out more about your work.
So I'm there in LinkedIn and Facebook. I can share my personal email ID. It is Kankana Barua, very easy to remember, KANKANA BARUA @yahoo.com. So I'm reachable anytime, anywhere. I'm very active in social media, particularly in LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'll put the link to your profile in the show notes.
Absolutely, no problem. We'll be more than happy to share my experiences or seek or provide any kind of suggestions or any kind of help that anybody may require. I'm always open for that.
Well, as I said, Kankana, thank you so much for joining me today, for your time today. I'm sure that our listeners will enjoy listening about your work that you have been doing at Healthium Medtech. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Sushmita, and the entire team of Vantage for having me here. Indeed, I enjoyed being a part of it. And once again, cheers to the team of Vantage, more so coming from the Northeast. So thank you very much and good luck to the team of Vantage.
Thank you, Kankana.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.